What's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Wichita Promo Podcast with your host, EKM. We back at Humble Greatness Studios, and I got another special guest in the building with me. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Ty Davis, the poet.
Yeah. So just to get right into it, you got a new book right here. I want to talk about that a little bit. Go ahead and what's the title of it?
The title of it is We Are M.A.D.E. M.A.D.E. is an acronym for motivation, action, direction, and experience. The full title is We Are Made from the Past for Our Future.
Okay, I love that. So what was the process like writing this book? What was the inspiration? What made you write this?
The inspiration came really from my first book. My first book is The Change Within Me. It's a book of poetry. A lot of people have published a lot of people have bought it, shown support, but they said, what is the behind the scenes story? Because it's like 100 poems. So We Are Made is more of a detailed account of what I went through in prison, battling, trying to overcome drugs, living in the streets, gang banging, and just really want to provide encouragement and support to say we all make mistakes, but we should never let our mistakes make us.
Absolutely. Okay. So what inspired you to start writing in the first place? Like, how did you start writing? Was it poetry first? Was it books? Like, how did this all begin?
Okay, we gonna go way back a little bit, just short, quick. In fourth grade, I actually won a contest, a writing story. I wrote about a runaway Thanksgiving turkey that didn't want to be dinner, so he ran all across the United States.
Okay.
Well, I didn't continue writing until I got locked up because anybody been in prison know it's very boring. Sometimes most of the time it's nothing to do. Whatever you gotta do, you gotta make your way. You gotta pass your time. So I began to just write. I started off with poetry because an idea would come on my mind, and I was just like jot down, and it comes so quick that I said, okay, let me get this. And next thing I knew, I had a collection of poetry. And then I said, you know what? If I could write poetry, let me see if I could write a novel.
Oh yeah.
And it was just to really pass my time while I was in prison.
Okay. What made you when you got out, was it just like you had enough poems built up that you were like, okay, I got to release some of these? Or like, what made you kind of put them together in this first book here?
Because my second time my first time I wrote a book of poetry and I gave it away when I left. And I said, if I come back again, I'm going to take this serious.
Oh, okay.
Well, about a year later, guess what? I found myself back in prison.
Yeah.
So I remember if we don't keep it real with anybody else, we got to keep it real with ourselves. So since I made that vow to take it serious, if I went in, it was just a matter of time. And, I didn't just want to waste my time. I wanted my time to pay me in the end. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I guess, well, first of all, if you were writing poetry, you ever thought about like making music or anything like that? Because that's something that immediately popped into my head.
Okay. I have thought about it, but you know what? I got a lot of homeboys that rap, and I even try rapping, and I got to give y'all rappers, y'all props, y'all do it, y'all ride the beat. I don't know what it is, but I can't catch the beat for some reason. Maybe I need one of y'all rappers. We need to collaborate or something.
Yeah, I feel you. Okay. So you talked about really like the first piece of writing was early on in school. Were you like a good kid in school? Did you enjoy school? Like you had good grades, stuff like that?
Yeah, I really did. I used to have all A's and 1B.
Yeah, okay.
And then I would get like 1B. I'd be disappointed. I'd be like, man, I got to get all A's. But in seventh grade, Tupac became my idol.
Yeah.
I was told that I was told that black people didn't get good grades. So I wanted to fit in, and this is another reason I wrote this book, because when we born to stand out, we'll never fit in.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're trying to dim our lights and try to fit in. We're distracted, be it by the phone, be it by not disciplined to take the time out to focus on our gifts. But seventh grade, I started thugging, and man, it just went crazy. And if you want to hear more, you gotta buy the book.
Okay, yeah. Was there like I don't know, was there like a person that I guess inspired you to start writing this? Was it just that remembering back that like you used to write in school, things like that? When you were locked up, like what made you go to that? Because I know a lot of people, you know what I mean? There's all different things people do. People work out, people write raps, people write poetry. Like, what
Okay.
made you go like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do right here?
Well, I did a little bit of it all.
Yeah.
I worked out, I gambled, and I wrote. I got high.
Yeah.
You know, but I had a homeboy named Bibble, man. He was from the other side. But man, he always encouraged me to write, man. And he spoke life to me, even though he's from the other side. Man, he was one of my biggest encouragers, one of my biggest supporters. I even got a shout out for him in my book because,
Okay.
man, he encouraged me a lot. And when I was at Wagon Hut, which is in Lawton, I had a celly. I have a book, Ghetto Celebrity, that hasn't been published yet. Every night he'll be like, "Hey, what they got going on? What you write today?" So it was kind of like, okay, I got to keep writing. I got to keep writing.
Yeah.
So I would say add this, that we all need somebody in our lives to push us, encourage us to pursue our dreams.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What made you? So the first time I ever saw you, actually, I remembered when he told me I was interviewing you. I saw you at a Simply Sangria at one of these poetry things.
Okay.
What made you tap in with them? How did you find out about the local poetry scene?
Okay, I love that, you know. So you never know who's seeing you, you know.
Yeah.
I was at an author event and somebody told me I need to connect with Ponder This, Walter Gurdon, shout out to him. And I reached out to him and he was like, "Hey, I got this going on." Man, it's just Wichita is so connected. I actually got to give a shout out to Scott Victor.
Yeah,
I had reached out to him and he invited me. So as the poet, anybody in poetry know we're really all connected. And that's one reason that I think me and Eric pursue and push Wichita to connect and combine our gifts and talents, because there's a lot of talent here in Wichita.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I've even thought about going back to music. I'm trying to work on with the Wichita promo page right now. I'm putting together like a hip hop album where I want to have like over 50 Wichita artists involved on it. Just a huge Wichita tape that just kind of showcases the talent. One of the things I thought about doing because of going to those Simply Poetry events, I was thinking about I would love to have some songs where like maybe the beat fades in the end, and instead of like a skit on an album, I have like a poet talk for like a few minutes and just say something. You know what I mean? I would love to include some poets in it. I think that'd be really cool.
That's an awesome idea.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'm trying to pull off. But yeah, so is there, first of all, is there any like, I guess we'll start with your first book. Is there any favorite, like a specific like favorite poem, favorite like moment in the book, anything like that that stands out to you?
Anybody know me? I had to say my favorite one is my letter to Christ.
Okay.
Because it starts off, you know, just giving them thanks, because I remember when I was locked up, I felt depressed. I didn't want to live. I was so weighed down with discouragement and being lied to. You know, people say they gonna do this and do that. And write a letter, you know, you be willing to die for somebody, but then you get locked up, they won't even write you a letter. So, but then Christ comes in and he just gives you this love that he doesn't ask you to earn it. He just gives it to you. And because of that love, you begin to love yourself. You begin to love others. You begin to just be bold and just look at life different.
Yeah.
The situations you go through, you no longer go through, but you grow through. And, you know, probably my letter to Christ, which is page 44 in The Change Within Me.
Okay, yeah. First of all, also, I want to say, where can we find these so I can clip that, make sure everybody knows where to get these books as well?
You can get on Amazon. That's one of the major distributors. But I really try to push my own stuff. You reach out to me so I could personalize it, autograph it for you.
Yeah.
When you buy a copy from me, you also get a CD. I got like a little soundtrack, you know what I'm saying, where it's like 12 poems with some music in the background, kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Collecting with the artist. And but those is where you can get it in any other major distributors.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, and I'll link the link, everything below so people can just easily get to it and everything. So also, I guess the same question about your second book. Is there a highlight moment in that book, like a favorite chapter, a favorite section of that book, like that stands out to you at all?
Well, I think personally this one is a little closer to my heart because I open up and I share about some childhood trauma I went through.
Okay.
I went through how it is in prison. One of the chapters is how does it feel to be incarcerated, and my hope is for somebody who might be living in the streets to read it and be like, man, you know what? I don't want to experience that, so I want to change before I get there. Because when we hustling, I mean, there's some exceptions, but most of the time it ain't if we get caught, it's when we get caught. Especially with people nowadays and technology, drones, and man, so really my hope is to reach those who may be struggling, and you might have a parent like I had a good family. But I was the black sheep of my family. I'm the only one been locked up in my family. So they could tell me right and wrong, but they couldn't say, oh, this is how it feels to be incarcerated. Watch, if you get locked up, all your homeboys gonna be gone. And so I'm hoping that I could just reach and share a message so someone doesn't have to experience the same pain that I did.
Absolutely.